Welcome to Unaccountable, the world's okayest accounting game show for product news, updates, and more. I am your statement savant of a host, Tyler Otto, and I'm joined by the guidance genius that is the only Jeremy Van Groll. Hello, sir.
Hello, sir. How are you?
You know, I'm alive. I'm good.
Yeah, I heard you were at a conference this week yet, right? How'd that go?
Yeah, it went well. I mean, as you can tell, my voice is on the fritz. It's, by the end of this episode, I might just be squeaking, but we'll find out because it's a Friday, so I don't really got much more else to do.
Yeah, I just thought you were hitting puberty finally. I was going to congratulate you on that.
Mazel tov.
Newfound patches of hair.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I stole my dad's razor and shaved for the first time. No, it was a great conference, actually. The only bummer was, I got to spend my birthday alone in a hotel room. And, you never think you'll miss the fam that much, but it's good.
I mean, if you're away from your family at a hotel room, you better be alone, right? Or you got some problems.
Only unless I travel with you.
Yes.
Jeremy, a lot of cool stuff happened in the news this week we're talking about. And you actually had a really good article on this front, right?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw this one. It was the Wall Street Journal came out with that the, what's the acronym? I'm going to get this wrong. The PCAOB, or the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board, did a review of the Big Four and their audits, and a significant jump in the average deficiency rate from 13% to 24%, almost doubling. And I think it was 21 to 22 they were looking at. That's not insignificant and crazy.
Yeah, nearly double. First of all, how could you even advertise, at least in our business, hey, clients, we only have a 24% deficiency rate as of our last audit? No, you would never get clients like that.
Oh, yeah. If we had a quarter of a deficiency rate for our client work, yeah, I wouldn't even do this anymore, right? We'd get fired every time.
The problem is they're not incentivized to try and get any better, right? Most of their clients that are looking for an audit, they're out shopping for a decision. They're not looking for a good audit. They're looking for whoever they can find to give them the audit findings they want. That's the whole flaw in this system.
Yeah, I agree. I remember my first accounting job at a public company where we were doing the audit and I had a concern and talked to the vice president of finance. And I was like, aren't we concerned or that we're going to get a qualified audit because of this and this? And he kind of looked at me. He's like, yeah, that doesn't happen. And I was like, oh, that doesn't happen. Okay. Yeah, got it.
Welcome to the real world.
Yeah. Did you see kind of a separate article that two of the Big Four, and I forget which ones they are because I suck, that they're now also requiring that applicants can concede or
attest?
Yes. Ooh, a test. Why didn't I need a test when it comes to auditing? That they are not using any AI tools on their application process to get into these firms, right? Because that's a high-paying job, right? So they want to make sure you're not getting old Chat GPT to fill out your survey form.
Because heaven forbid, once you're in the job, that's not how you're going to do all your emails to your clients or write your podcast game show questions. No.
Oh, nobody would do such a thing.
Also in the news, Jeremy, I don't know if you saw, but, our new favorite acronym, yeah, boy, BOI, beneficial ownership information, that FinCEN requirement is already dead in its tracks. There was a lawsuit filed in Alabama, and essentially people behind this are arguing that it is unconstitutional for that sort of transparency. Now, several articles that I read, the advice was, unless you know that you are going to be included in this group of people that are attesting it doesn't apply to them, you should probably still file according to the guidelines, but there's a possibility this thing gets shot down. So who knows? Stay tuned, everyone. But that being said, if you're opening an LLC this year, I bet you're better off just filing the information than waiting to see what happens.
Yeah. Did you do this for your firm, for your business? Yet?
So I started doing it and then I realized I should stop because I want to record myself doing it so I can share with my staff on what it looks like so they can speak to it. So I never actually went back and did it because tax season sucks.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I haven't had free time to look at this either, but I feel like if you were really on the ball here and the early adopters and say, I'm going to go and get this done, probably not time wasted because I think it's going to hold up, but maybe time saved if you don't have to do it.
I mean, I would think it's going to be held up because when this thing was presented, it got pretty good bipartisan support. There wasn't either side of the aisle that was arguing this is a bad idea because it was anti-money laundering. This is really to help, prevent things like human trafficking, drug money. That was the intent behind this. And so I would hope there's some way it goes through, but you never know. I mean, we've all lived in this country long enough to know that anything can get overturned at any moment.
Oh, yeah. And I'm sure the change, if there is one, will come at the worst time where it's like, no, you really do need to do it. And it's December 15th, and you better have it done by the end of the year or whatever it is, right?
That is exactly going to be it.
Yeah.
Well, Jeremy, I'm excited to jump into our first game this week, which I am calling Payrolling with the Punches. That's right. So often, many of our clients will all of a sudden get a notice that they've been doing something wrong. And to be honest, half the time, it sometimes even surprises us accountants that are doing their books that, oh, found out that was a problem. So we're going to be going through a couple of those key areas where people get in trouble, and I want to test your knowledge. How you feeling about that?
All right, I'm good. Yeah, let's do it.
First question for you, Jeremy, and it's going to be a true, false, or it depends. But true, false, or it depends. Employers are required to pay out PTO, or paid time off, PTO balances to their employees upon termination. Yes, when you terminate the employee.
I was a pretty good test taker back when I had to take a lot of these, and most of them, if it was all of the above or it depends or whatnot, that was typically the answer. So I'm going to go it depends.
You are correct, because there's a reason we had to put that in there. Yes. So some states, they require you pay out the PTO right away. Other states, they don't. In fact, real quick, back to our favorite Animaniacs reference, I'm going to run through that, so hopefully I can trigger an alarm in half our listeners. But California, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Montana, Nebraska, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Rhode Island, West Virginia, and Wyoming. All those states, upon termination, you are required to pay out PTO. Were you aware of this?
Well, I know certain states did, right?
Yes.
And I love the fact that you did the Animaniacs thing totally separate from this. My son came home singing like the Animaniacs capital song of each state, right? And I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, it's the Animaniacs song.
There's Madison, Wisconsin, and perhaps you make your home in Salt Lake City out in Utah where the buffalo roam.
Oh, just a great cartoon and she could come back. Yeah, I mean, I just think I know every state is different with things like this. And I know some of them that we've had to pay out and other ones we haven't. And I think this is really based, like something about their handbook or their policy could drive this as well, right?
Exactly. So in most states, it's a misdemeanor charge if you don't pay it out. And then there's states there are defined civil charges. But the states that don't require it, for the most part, it is assumed you will pay it out unless the company handbook dictates otherwise. So if you have it in your company handbook where it is very well defined and your employees sign off on the handbook when they get hired, they are aware that it doesn't get paid out. I can tell you personally for my company, it says we don't pay out PTO upon termination unless your state requires it, and then we do. That is, if you don't have it in your handbook or your clients don't, this is free value add where you can go to them and say, hey, let us help you cover your bases and make sure you have this right in your handbook. Or you can go the easy route and just pay it out to everybody. But, you and me, we're cheapos.
We are, and I don't have that. I didn't think about like not paying this out to people, and we have really small turnover, so it's not like I've paid out a lot of this, but that's crazy. And then also you mentioned that it would be a misdemeanor. I believe if I remember back to your rant that Colorado and California and some other ones are in there, so not a misdemeanor to have an ounce of weed, but if you don't pay out the PTO, we're going to get you.
Yep, that's the world we live in.
Right.
Question 2, Jeremy. Yeah. Name at least 2 states that have their minimum wage at the federal level, which is $7.25.
Oh, yeah. Well, unfortunately, I know Wisconsin is one of these because I had this conversation with a client the other day. That's ridiculous. And the other one, I'm going to go Alabama.
Well done. Yes. 20 states in total either have their minimum wage stated at $7.25 or they don't have a minimum wage. And so the federal minimum wage applies. That would be Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, North Dakota, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, New Hampshire, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. Yes, both yours and my states do not have anything above the minimum wage, which at this point, I can't even imagine any company being able to find an employee for minimum wage, right? Like, do the math. What is that? Like 15 grand a year?
Yeah, and I don't know what kind of respectful business owner would pay that. right? And who would take that job right now? You can go to like Taco Bell and get $12 an hour or something around here, and we don't have the highest cost of living. I feel like I got kind of lucky with the Alabama one. I just know they have like the highest rate of poverty in the country, so I'm thinking they must have some low wage standards.
I mean, I think back to, like 2005 was it? I was graduating high school, and I had my long blonde sun bleached hair lifeguarding. And I swear, like, they were paying $12 an hour to teenage lifeguards at that point. So yeah, I can't imagine where $7.25 anywhere where that's actually the going rate, but federal minimum wage, there you go.
Would you go full on like slow-mo Baywatch mode when you were lifeguarding? Yeah.
Dude, I was Hasselhoff and everything more.
Love it.
But then in college, I also had the Hasselhoff eating food video. There you go, folks. If you haven't watched that one, check out drunk David Hasselhoff trying to eat a burrito.
Oh, now I got something to do after we're done.
Absolutely. All right. Jeremy, question number 3. Within 5, how many states have a mandatory paid sick leave requirement?
20. Ooh.
19. Well done. Yes, within 5. Most of these states I'm going to list off, and I'm going to wait till the end here. But they have a requirement, and it's frequently around 40 to 48 hours per year. So that usually works out to about a 1 hour of sick time off per 30 hours worked. And so you have to have this requirement showing that you provide this to your employees. Now, a lot of states, you can combine this in with their PTO. So as long as they have that ability, but if you merge those together, but then don't have them separately defined, like this also could go into those implications of having to pay out PTO. Because if it's defined sick time, you don't have to pay it out upon termination. But if it is PTO time, then you would. So there's a whole lot of things to consider. But those 19 states are Arizona, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Illinois, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Nevada, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York and Oregon, Rhode Island, Vermont, Washington, and Washington, D.C.
I'm glad that was my first question when you said this, is like, what if you have a combined policy of PTO that just envelops everything? But yeah, sounds like it's very dependent on what you have documented in your state. So interesting.
And especially, I feel like, our line of business, and never mind how much I'm squeaking already, but our line of business, bookkeeping firms, like I know sick time's something we never really thought about. Because when I'm feeling sick, I either just don't work, my staff doesn't work, they just message in and say, hey, I'm not going to be on. And we don't think about it. They'll pick up their hours somewhere else and they can do it on the weekend. So this is an interesting thing, both for, how we advise our clients, but also how do you run a small firm?
Right. Yeah. And think like it's more of a hit when you have almost a smaller firm. And if you have your SOPs in place and people can fill in even with day-to-day stuff, if they need to, that it's a longer illness, you're in a better place. But when you only have like 1 or 2 employees and one of them goes down for a few days, then that's even a little bit harder to overcome.
Yeah. Last question. True, false, or it depends. Employers are required to pay out a final paycheck immediately when firing an employee.
Oh, this has got to be, it depends too.
You are correct. Many states have a policy that when you terminate an employee, you have to pay out quicker than the next just regular scheduled payday. Now, this is different when you fire an employee versus they quit. When they quit, it's usually you can wait until the next payday, but some states even differ there. But I would like to call out, there are 15 states where you have under 72 hours to issue their final paycheck. And several of them are same day. So with that, I would like to present to you Michigan, Hawaii, Oregon, Minnesota, Colorado, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Utah, Alaska, New Hampshire, Vermont, Montana, District of Columbia, Nevada, and California all require something as quick as 3 days. But like Nevada, it's immediately. Utah, it's within 24 hours of termination. Minnesota, it's within 24 hours of the employee demanding it. Hawaii is immediately or next business day. And Oregon by the end of the next business day. Those are all pretty tough ones to turn around and do.
Oh, yeah. And did I hear you right at the beginning of that? You said even if there are some states when the employee leaves willingly that you need to pay them out this fast?
Yeah. So like the District of Columbia, Nevada, you either have to pay them the next regular payday or within 7 days, whichever comes first. So if they quit right after the end of payday, you have 7 days to pay them out. Vermont is weird where it's the next scheduled payday, or if there is no regular payday, then next Friday. So there's interesting things, but New Hampshire, yeah, hard. It's within 72 hours It's either the next scheduled payday or within 72 hours if the employee gives one pay period of notice. So if they give you notice that they're going to quit, then you have 72 hours after their last day to get it. Yeah. Know these rules. We'll link these articles in the show notes so that you can go look up the specific states of both your employees, but also your clients' employees.
Yeah, that sucks. What would you categorize somebody that just stopped showing up? Are you terminating them?
No. So this is interesting. That is technically job abandonment, which I think you're asking because you and I talk a lot and you know that I had to enact this at one point. I had to terminate an employee for job abandonment. That was me terminating them and having to pay out at the time I terminated them in the system.
Yeah, I had this happen once too, and I'm just wondering how you would categorize that. So more or less, you could leave them on until, like, if you're smart, you'd leave them on till like right before the day before payday, right? So then you get it paid out within 24 hours and just have their termination date be the day before.
But you said if you're smart, so that doesn't apply to us.
Yeah, that's true. Dang it.
Jeremy, 4 for 4. What are you doing here, man? This is not our level. Gosh.
Out of the gate, man. I mean,
you're going to be fired.
I still want to be in the Tyler camp where I don't really do or own the payroll for clients, but I do enough that I know a lot of this stuff, probably, unfortunately.
Well, Jeremy, with that time, we are already at halftime. And this is the part of the show where we go over to the bench for an app snack. Today we're going to take a bite out of, I think, one of our favorite apps. Would you like to introduce it?
Yeah, I would. So we've talked about this app before on the show. With our minimal preparation that we do for this, I thought maybe it was time to actually talk about what this is. So we're talking about TaxDome. So you have brought that up before, and I believe it is the project management, if not more, system for your firm. But that's really all I know about it. I know it does some project management stuff too. Do you actually file taxes with it as well?
So no, it has nothing to do. You cannot file a tax return. You need to have another software to do that. But I will argue if, like, tomorrow I were to spin up a tax-only firm. So let's say Specialty Bookkeepers goes under or it sells, and I'm coming back and starting a business from square one. I'm going with TaxDome because not only can it be your CRM for sending emails, marketing, doing workflows for all the tasks you need done, you can even set up your web page there and accept payments through it. Like, it can be your one-stop shop. I think with an accounting platform, TaxDome, and a tax filing software, you could do everything you'd need. So some of the key things I absolutely love, though, one of our past episodes, we talked about Content Snare, their ability to do smart questionnaires where if the client answers yes on this, then it opens up 6 more questions. If they say no, you never see those extra questions because it's conditional logic forms. Okay. You can do that in TaxDome, and it's actually really robust and convenient. You can even do things where it will say, hey, later on, in this workflow we're doing, because the clients will do their questionnaires and then you'll have meetings with them, send requests, you can do stuff, but it can apply tags on that client's account based on those items in the questionnaire. So it will automatically trigger things later on down the line. Super cool in that regard. I frequently have said that I would love if Keeper and TaxDome could have a baby because I'm not sure if I were to spin up another bookkeeping firm, you could do it only with TaxDome just because they don't have an integration for as good of quality controls. But when it comes to taxes, it's super cool. The only thing I don't love about it is their pricing is built per user and not per client you put on it, which to me, I really like softwares that only charge me when I put another one of my clients on it because it's as I get incremental revenue, my expenses increase incrementally versus a software that from day one, it's going to cost me as much as it will later on, no matter how much I grow. Now, eventually, maybe that's profit for me, but I would rather have the expense climb as my usage climbs.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But again, a fallacy that we're smart business owners is that you wouldn't be adding a user unless you were going to have the revenue to support that user. But I see what you're saying there. But I feel like if you're them, does that model speak more true because you have another person doing the work in there versus, I guess you could make an argument either way. I talked about too, there's messaging in there. Do you use that? And do you require that that's the communication your clients use is the messaging within TaxDome?
So there is really robust messaging in there because you can actually tie tasks and documents and even invoices to messages. In fact, you can even set it up that they can't view documents until they pay an invoice. So you can lock it behind the payment. It's beautiful. But yeah, it's actually a really neat messaging system. It also has email built into it. So you could email in and out through that as your email client. So everything on that client lives in TaxDome. It really is a slick all-in-one solution. at, starting at $50 a month, and you can white label it. Their mobile app is super slick, and they're constantly making improvements. Now, if you're in any of the Facebook groups I'm in that follow them, sometimes they make unrequested improvements that a lot of people get upset over, but I can't think of any other software I've demoed that can do as much as they can at the quality they can.
Have you yet become a integrated TaxDome Rockstar with their development group, like you are with like Keeper and a bunch of other apps that you nerd out on?
Nope, they don't even know who I am. And yeah,
someday.
I mean, if y'all are looking for the people that like are the besties, it seems, of TaxDomes, check out the folks over at Workflows for Tax Pros. They have a program that you can buy to not steal because you're buying it, but you get all their templates, workflows, because TaxDome is a beast to learn. You have to learn its nomenclature and how, contacts fit into accounts, fit into jobs, fit into pipelines. Like, you've got to be able to understand all of that. And it takes a while to click, but once you get there, it's fantastic.
I feel though now, like once this comes out and we'll tag them in our social media posts, that I feel like you will then go to that echelon of super user TaxDome dude.
All I can hope is one day, man, one day.
I love it. Cool. Well, let's move on. I am so very excited for this next one. I've had this in my back pocket for a couple of weeks because we had Dwayne and then we had some good stuff for last week as well. But I don't know if you saw this. The accounting world came out with the top 100. Let me make sure I say this right. The top 100 most influential people in accounting. And
I know the answer. I know the answer. Well, I assume the question is, are we on it? And the answer is no.
Oh, correct. That would have been like, spoiler alert, we're not on there. But no, like a whole bunch of just rock stars within the accounting industry, right, that they published this and made me think of a fantastic game on giving some of these names to you. And are they actually just giving you names? And are they an accounting rock star or a real rock star?
I like this.
I was going to take this a different route and say accounting rock star or a member of the adult entertainment industry, but I realized that was going to have to take some research that, contrary to popular opinion, I am not very knowledgeable on this topic. And in a family household, I feel like I should not be making such research. And at least I would need to get all the things Dwayne asked in place so I make sure I'm secure and not getting computer or real viruses in the process.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. I actually once went to a pub trivia night where they named off names of companies, and it was either a nonprofit or a name of a brothel in Vegas. And I feel like that's what you're going towards there with that, because like one of them was like the Fuzzy Bunny, and you're like, I don't know, is that a nonprofit or a brothel? No, but I love this. This is good because now we got great music references probably coming. So let's do it.
Fantastic. So let's get started. The first one, Kevin Dancy.
I'm going to go, never heard of this, accounting rock star.
Yeah, he is an accounting rock star. So Kevin is the CEO of the International Federation of Accountants, the global organization for the accounting profession. Says it's got 180 member and associate organizations in 135 jurisdictions representing millions of professional accountants.
Okay.
Yeah, nice work out of the gate. All right.
Rock star is a generous term, but hey.
Counting rock star. All right, let's do it. Number 2, Daniel Werfel.
Real rock star?
Ooh, no. Daniel Werfel is the commissioner of our favorite government body, the Internal Revenue Service.
Shows you how much I know.
Oh, right.
Wait, I thought the IRS was just like one nameless, like, block, like it's the Borg from Star Trek, right? Like assimilate or perish. They're just one giant being. You're saying there's actual people behind it?
Actual people. I think he's the one when you have to send out correspondence or letters to the IRS to no address, but just a P.O. box that probably goes directly to his front door.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, we're talking IRS. So that direct file is out there now. Like we've talked about that before, and it's live. I believe it said 14 or 13 states. There's
something
9,
like that.
Yeah, 9 of them that don't have income tax that you could more or less just plug and play with. But the other ones, and I'll try to do my Animaniacs here, Arizona, California, Massachusetts, and New York spent the money to actually get integrated with this. And I was just cruising around like what the user experience has been, and it's getting pretty good reviews.
Really?
There's some just general people out there said it's super easy, fast, free, all the right things. So yeah, so far so good, I guess. The IRS coming out with a new positive thing. Wow.
Well, I mean, until, Intuit, H&R Block, and everyone else put their money together to lobby to make it harder so that they can keep their share of the pie, right?
Oh, absolutely. You know that lobbyist group is already out there. Just waiting.
No, can't have Americans doing that for free, man.
We need to make some coin on that. All right, 1 for 1. Let's go to the next one. Dan Smith.
I'm going to go real rock star.
Yeah, real rock star. Dan Smith is the lead singer of the band Bastille. Ian, let me get some Pompeii in here. Oh, such a good tune. But also has to have the least rock star name ever when it comes to Dan Smith being a rock star.
I was going to say, he sounds like he went to BYU, like he's here in Utah. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Anyway.
I just didn't think you would start off with 3 accounting rock stars. That's the only way I got that.
Got to mix it up, right? All right, number 4, Angus Young.
Real rock star.
Yeah. Do you know who he is?
No.
Pretty famous. So he is the guitarist for AC/DC. Ian, hit me with some Thunderstruck. Thunderstruck? Yeah, he's the one that always dressed up as a schoolboy with like the plaid things on and a hat and would do like the duck walk. But just see him in the Thunderstruck video doing that for like minutes upon minutes straight. The guy is just crazy talented. Next one, Michelle Golden River.
I really hope that's on our team. Like, please say that's an accounting rock star.
Yeah, is an accounting rock star. So she is the owner and president of 4 LLC. And I had not heard of this firm before, but I'm intrigued. So let me tell you what they do, or what her thing is she is an influencer that has urged accountants to recognize their worth, specifically their value, as she champions value pricing models. And one of the leading firms or proponents of her own model, which is the advanced pricing methods. So I am now intrigued by this. I'm going to do a little more research because I think I always said like pricing in any of our engagements is one of the hardest things to nail down. And there's some art and science in there. I'm intrigued now what her advanced pricing method is and can leverage that to be a little better pricer.
Yeah. Could we learn how to make actual money?
Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice, right? I love it. All right. Next one. Jason Newstead.
Jason Newstead. I'm going to go real rock star.
Yeah, real rock star. And any idea who he is?
No idea.
He is the former bassist of the band Metallica, right? And Metallica, I was going to have Ian play the famous one. What is it? What's the famous
Enter Sandman.
Enter Sandman. Nope, not doing it. Don't do it, Ian. I want to hear some classic Metallica. Let's hear some Master of Puppets. Yes, that is what I'm talking about. And did you know, I think it was 6 months ago or within the last year, Master Puppets, which came out in the 80s, I believe, went back on the Billboard charts. Do you know why?
Did the Muppets have another movie that I missed?
Ooh, yeah, that would be good. I could see Dr. Teeth on the keyboard just hammering out some Master of Puppets. Yeah, that's a good
The Swedish Chef in there working? No? Okay.
It was featured on in the Netflix series Stranger Things. So I was not a Stranger Things watcher, but I heard about this and I'm like, I'm going to have to start watching this show. And it was in the 4th or 5th season or something, but I had to go back to the beginning because you can't just start watching a new season, right? And the scene where they put this song in, it's pretty awesome, right? All the way around. So yeah, real rock star.
Okay.
Next one, another Jason Stats.
Oh, I know this one. That's our boy with his daily channel. Jason Stats is an accounting rock star, and dare I say a real rock star.
Yeah, potentially a real rock star too. So I didn't find him or whatever, probably in the last year. And that guy is just like super eloquent on camera and just talking about, and like ridiculously smart, maybe easy on the eyes too. But I'll leave that up to your own judgment. But a big proponent of being an influencer in the accounting space, is AI tools to put in efficiencies in the firms and all that stuff. But just has great content out there if you're looking for somebody else.
No, he's a great listen. If you aren't following his YouTube channel, like you're missing out in life. Real rock star, but congratulations to him making the top 100 list. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, right? Like, Jason, we are going to selfishly tag you in our social media post because we want to be your friend.
As I'm sitting here going through puberty, thank you. This is the episode, Jeremy.
This is the episode, right? I love it. All right. Next one. Steve Perry.
Steve Perry. He's a real rock star.
Yeah. All right. He's a real rock star. Who is he?
I'm blanking on the band. I'm actually remembering the movie they reference him as the rock star, and that's where I'm at, but I'm blanking on the band.
Ooh. Lead singer, classic 80s hair band.
Journey.
Journey, yeah. Ian, some Don't Stop Believing, please.
Just a small town girl.
That guy has got pipes.
It's a song I don't ever want to hear again, but when it comes on karaoke, you have to sing along as loud as you can.
Why don't you want to hear it again? Just think of it. It's classic. Come on, man.
I feel like it's one of those songs you've just heard too much. But when it's on at the karaoke bar, man, you're happily belt out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. All right, next one. Jeannie Whitehouse.
Jeannie Whitehouse. She is an accounting rock star. And I remember this because, I mean, technically at BKX, she was like my hype man, if you will, right? Not really. Okay, for folks, the way this worked out was she was the opening speaker and I was her follow-up act. But the way I like to see it is she was my warm-up act. So, it's all about perspective in life, right?
Yeah, I would.
We all know what it really was.
Yeah, I feel like that would be more better compared with like the Super Bowl and the show afterwards, where you just kind of hope people are sleeping and the viewer stays on.
Yep, just so I can get my counts. Like, you hope just people, got really comfy in their chairs and stayed around for my talk. That was exactly what happened.
Yeah, right. There were 500 people there, but they were all just waiting to get Ms. Whitehouse's autograph afterwards, but I'm counting that.
Yeah, they asked me to quiet down up there on stage. They were trying to have a conversation off stage. Yeah, that was me.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about what she does? So I had to put her on the list because she was the only one that on this list that I have met in person, as you introduced us at QuickBooks Connect this past year.
The talk that she did at BKX this year was definitely around reporting, and she's just a really good advocate of getting good tools to have good information in front of your clients. So yeah, she's also someone else in the space that does some really neat stuff, but awesome for her to get top 100 as well.
Yeah, pretty cool. All right, last one. Calvin Harris.
I feel like you're just making up names. I'm going to go real rock star.
I'm going to go wrong because it's both.
Oh, trick question.
Going into this, I was like, I'm going to find one of these people who have the same name, and I didn't even have to look because I knew this name. So Calvin Harris, the accountant, is the CEO of New York State Society of CPAs, also the former president of the National Association of Black Accountants. All right.
Okay.
Clearly smart guy. I've never met him, obviously, but the other Calvin Harris is a Scottish DJ that was ranked number 15 of the top DJs by DJ Magazine. And the only reason I knew his name, a very popular song that came out, was We Found Love with Rihanna, and he was the DJ on that song. Ian, please. So excited that I could find one that was in both places. But I'm guessing they don't get mistaken for each other, being a Scottish DJ and African-American accountant, right?
I don't think anyone's going to the wrong website and trying to book the accountant services for their next club event. Good find, Jeremy.
Yeah, both probably super cool dudes, though. We want to be your friend, too, especially the DJ. Yeah, let's do it.
Welcome to Fast Figures. 10 questions, 1 minute-ish. All answers are numbers. The game starts now.
Jeremy, I don't know if you paid attention to what day today is, or at least the day that this episode is dropping, but we got a theme coming up. Are you ready?
Yeah, is it St. Patrick's Day? Okay, no, I don't know. Let's do it. All
right. Putting 1 minute on the clock. Here we go. Give me pi to the 5th decimal.
3.14159.
Within 5 days, for tax filers that are getting extensions on their personal returns, when is their tax payment due?
Within 5 days. You'd have to do the extension by April 30th.
In keeping with our Pi Day theme, according to the Guinness World Book of Records, what is the most expensive pie ever sold? Give it to me within $3,000.
Expensive pie. It's not the poo pie that the one lady served in Fast Figures. 250,000.
According to a recent notice from the IRS, they're sending out over 125,000 notices to non-filers that they suspect made over what amount? I'm going to give you a 25% window here.
300,000.
A pass interference penalty, a PI, if you will, pi, get it? Yeah. Results in how many yard penalty in college football?
Oh, college football. I was going to say pro. 10 yards? 10.
According to CNBC, what rank did accountant get in the list of in-demand remote jobs companies are hiring for?
Number 3.
Phosphorus, with the initials PI, is what element on the periodic table? Hint, a previous answer to one of these questions, which, by the way, you got wrong, is the correct answer.
Dang it. We're not talking atomic mass, right? 24.
Unless legislation passes, the Tax Cut and Jobs Act will end a provision of a high standard deduction, cutting the standard deduction nearly in half. This will take place at the end of what year?
2025.
Within 1 inch, what is the standard size of a pie baking pan?
9 inches.
Within $100, what is the new base price for QuickBooks Live bookkeeping for a company with over $50K in monthly expenses?
350.
All right. Well done, sir. Hey, I'm rather proud of you, man. I can tell you right now, you didn't get shut out. But did you realize today was Pi Day?
I did not realize that. I was thinking timing, and I was like, was it St. Patrick's Day? And then I'm like, no, I think that would be later. But yeah, that's fantastic. Happy Pi Day, everyone.
All right, let's run through it. So first up, Jeremy, give me pi to the 5th decimal. You confidently said 3.14159. Well done. Yes, easy. Well, easy for you.
If you would have asked for 6 decimals, I would have failed.
That's fine. That's why we went right there.
Yeah.
Second question, within 5 days for tax filers that are getting extensions on their personal returns, when is their tax payment due? Now, taxes are due, as we all know, April 15th, unless there's a holiday or anything else. And then you can file a 6-month extension. But the payment is still due on April 15th. I know that you said the 30th. It's due. And technically this year it's actually due on April 18th because of timing and whatnot. So I gave you a 5-day window. But so many of our clients frequently think, oh, I'm going to file an extension so I don't have to worry about paying my taxes for another 6 months. And no, they have to remember it's due this April. You have to get it in. The penalties start accruing right away. There needs to be an estimate. So often this gets missed. And so I want to hammer it home right now.
Yeah, that's a good call. Good call. All right.
In keeping with our Pi Day theme, according to the Guinness World Book of Records, what's the most expensive pie ever sold? You said 250,000. Little generous, but 15,000. It's actually $14,260. And some of the ingredients they used on here, $870 in Wagyu beef, $870 in mushrooms. Yeah, it was a meat pie.
A meat pie.
350 in truffles. I don't know how you feel about truffles, Jeremy. They had to grow in some deep, dark place.
And deep, dark poop, probably, too.
Yeah. Yeah, isn't that where they grow? And $3,500 for the 2 bottles of wine they used in the gravy. Why are you even using wine for that gravy if you're boiling out the alcohol? But
yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, I guess I would have thought that would more. So we're talking meat pies. This isn't, we could get like a Sweeney Todd reference in here and take a really, really rich person, and then you'd have a way more expensive pie.
But, you know, you converted that asset. Is it less valuable? I don't know.
I think you'd have to work in how much in fines and jail time you'd have to do if you get caught for the murder.
All right, we're going to do the analysis by the next episode.
Yeah, I love it.
According to a recent notice from the IRS, they are sending out over 125,000 notices to non-filers that they suspect made over what amount? I gave you a 25% window. You said 300.
Gotta be higher.
The correct answer is actually 400, which 25% of that is 300. Well done, sir.
I love how you went for the 400 to use the math, not the 300, because then I would.
I'm trying to help you out here.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So they send out these notices to 100,000 non-filers that made between 400K and $1 million, plus another 25,000 notices to non-filers that made over $1 million. All they did, they said in this report, is they were looking at W-2 data and 1099 data and saying, hey, these guys didn't file tax returns, but they made over that. My concern is they make it sound like this is new news, like they're doing something new. I thought this is just what the IRS did. Is this not what they were already doing?
God, you would think so. And yeah, that would be relatively easy. I forgot was it Daniel or whatever that was the commissioner? Like, come on, buddy,
Oh,
like
yeah.
get this in place. Man, that's a lot of money too, probably hanging out there.
I mean, you got to believe. But this is what makes me happy. Like, don't go after the person that made 60 grand last year and filed their taxes and were they off by a grand? Yeah, if we can collect taxes, and these are on people that haven't filed in years. So, I mean, if you can collect that much money from these 125,000, like hot diggity dog, there you go. Now you're making up the tax gap.
Yeah, these people too, they're the ones that have the money rolling around. That they're going to get some high price tax expert to go in and ask for abatement and all this other stuff. They should just be like, nope, you did the filings, you had all the things, you get to pay all the penalties, all that stuff. You can afford it.
Let's hope. Next up, Jeremy, a pass interference penalty, or a PI, if you will, results in how many yard penalty in college football? You said 10 yards. It's actually 15 yards, sir.
Yeah, I was thinking the NFL right away, and I was like, depends how far the pass goes. But yeah, college, it's 15. You're right. Oh, fail.
There you go. According to CNBC, what rank did accountant get in the list of in-demand remote jobs companies are hiring for? You said number 3. We're number 1, Jeremy. We're number 1. We're number 1. This article is super goofy because I'm going to call CNBC out on a couple things. First off, part of their data to do this is how many people are searching for the term accountant, which tells me it's the number of people looking for accounting jobs. But who am I? Maybe I misunderstood their methodology. But they also go into talking about how this is a high in-demand job, while also noting the big 4 layoffs that have already happened this year and saying, well, most accountants make 68 grand. Experienced ones can make 150 to 200,000. But the way they're presenting it in this article is like, that's what people should hope for who want to go into accounting right now. Definitely not what we're seeing across the industry.
Yeah, and like we talked about a lot of times that, that's weird because we talked that there's a shortage of accountants, right? So why would this be the most searched job when people can't hire enough? Or maybe it's because there's so many, I don't know. It seems a little suspect.
Yeah, CNBC's getting goofy with their math here. Phosphorus, with the initials PI, is what number element on the periodic table? You said 24, harnessing your inner Jack Bauer. It was 15, good sir. Same number of penalty yards on a PI. But well done on you for being close.
Yeah, who knows this? If I was a chemist, I'd be cooking math.
You'd be Breaking Bad. You'd be the Walter White.
Right, give me my Winnebago. We're doing this.
Unless legislation passes, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act will end a provision of high standard deductions, cutting the standard deduction relatively in half. This will take place at the end of what year? You said 2025, and that is correct. So yes, as we go into 2026 and people look to do tax returns, those standard deductions, unless we see some sort of change in legislation, are going to drastically go down. Now, it's going to account for inflation, but at that point, that's when us accountants and bookkeepers probably come more valuable again, because now you need to itemize more things out. The standard deduction isn't just going to swallow up all of those itemizations that people are ignoring right now.
Yeah, I'm going to stick to nonprofits and not do tax advising stuff. But yeah, good to know, right? I completely agree with you. It's kind of been a no-brainer, right? Just that's what you're going to take right now. So also the higher value firms that can do planning because of this, right? They'll really get paid off on this one.
Absolutely. Within 1 inch, what is the standard size of a pie baking pan? You said 9 inches. The articles I checked said that it should be anywhere from 8 to 10, with the golden number being right at 9. You know your measurements, sir. You know your length.
That's right. Are you sure you were searching for pie pans when you were asking for the right length of inches? Okay. All right. Enough. I'm done.
Within $100, what is the new base price for QuickBooks Live bookkeeping for a company with over $50K in monthly expenses? You said $350? Sorry, but the answer is $700 base price for QuickBooks Live. So get this. The prices used to be for $0 to $10,000 in transaction a month. It was $200. Now it's $300. For $10,000 to $50,000 a monthly expenses, it used to be $300. Now it's $500. So that's a $200 increase. Yeah. And if you had over $50K in expenses each month, it used to be $400. Now it's $700. For the clients that you and I are often serving, how often do we see people in our space that are still trying to price their clients at $250, $200 a month? I'll go down to $150 just to make it work because they don't say they have the money. Like, no, QuickBooks Live with its bottom of the barrel bookkeeping is now $700, folks. Need to charge your worth. Don't keep fighting the battle to the bottom.
Yeah, totally agree. Do you know why they would base that on expenses? I'm just trying to think I guess maybe there's probably a higher volume of them for that.
Yeah.
Probably the average business. Yeah, okay. I'm thinking with nonprofits, we usually have more complicated revenue things between grants and donations and all that stuff that makes it a little more interesting. But yeah, okay.
I mean, a lot of them, if they're using a good point of sale, the revenue is pretty easy. But
Yeah.
I am surprised it's based off of dollar amount of transactions and not volume of transactions. That does surprise me. And Intuit's got the information. They can see how many expenses you have. So I don't know. That's an interesting question, but that's how they build their current pricing.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Oof, charge your value. That is the moral there. Oof.
Jeremy, 4 out of 10. You're right back in our wheelhouse. Way to go. Proud of you this week, man. Did it good.
Yeah, I think it's been a couple weeks since I had to do this, and it doesn't get easier, right? All good. Yeah, so though I may not have been the over 50% winner in Fast Figures, winner of the week this week, I'm going to call myself. Do you know why, Tyler?
No, do tell.
I got an Etsy sale this week for one of my templates out there, which was probably
Which one?
do mileage tracking, right? So just put in the date and mileage, calculates the rate, all the stuff for you. It's fantastic. So yeah, I'd love to see it like $5 in the bank and I didn't have to do anything. But I'm going to think that this wasn't one of our listeners because I immediately got a text the next day or a messaging through the Etsy Messenger, which honestly I didn't even know existed because I never had one of these. But it said, "Hey, I got your file and I'm trying to open it on my iPhone and it won't open. You have any suggestions?" It's an Excel document spreadsheet, right? It's not just going to natively open on an iPhone. So all I responded with is, you would need to download the Excel app from the App Store for this to work, and thankfully have not heard a response back yet.
Yeah, I just don't know how you advise them.
No.
I feel like any one of us should know, you're not going to be able to do it unless you have Excel on your phone, but
yeah,
they would have been better off downloading MileIQ.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If you're going to use it for mobile, why are you getting this spreadsheet anyway? But whatever, thanks for the $5. That's all I'm saying.
And our loser of the week? Please don't say it's me.
It's not this time. Well, I don't know. If we could say the voice thing, we'll go there. No, I came across this article just looking at stuff that a town in New Jersey has had the worst bookkeeping ever seen is the article of this. First of all, why does New Jersey get such a bad rap and everything? I don't think I've ever been there, but all the movies and TV shows and Hamilton and all the things are oh, Jersey.
Yeah, I think it gets treated like the little brother of New York, so it just gets constantly poo-pooed. But I mean, it's not as bad as Florida, man. So.
Oh, yeah. Florida's awful. But yeah, so this is Dover, New Jersey, just had the most painful audit report ever. The audit firm that did it said that the books for the town are by far the worst condition of any records I've seen in my 27 years in the industry. Just brutal. And I guess they outsourced it to a neighboring organization or municipality that was working on the books for them. And just all sorts of craziness, improperly using almost $2 million of federal COVID relief funds to plug in holes for things, and still needed to pull another $2 million from their general funds to just balance for the year. Ugh, that's rough. And just gonna have some hard conversations and decisions in Dover, New Jersey going forward. So, rough.
Dude, I mean, how frequently is this so? Whether it's a government agency, a nonprofit, or even a for-profit client, you and I get these books all the time where you just wonder, what was the person thinking? I think of one set of books we just recently inherited, and I can't figure out why this person was paid so highly because our fees are less than half of what they were charging them. And I thought I priced ourselves pretty well. And the books were awful, but this is not something uncommon. You and I see this all the time.
Yeah. And you get burned by it once you see it, if that you are charging less than their last person and the books are garbage, you're just oh God, did I miss that one? What's the movie with Jonah Hill where they're bidding on a military weapons contract and they're
War Dogs.
Oh, was it War Dogs? Yeah, we had to go with you. We were the cheapest by far of anyone. He's how much cheaper? And they're well, 300 million or something. And you just hear him in his brain go, no.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's an awful feeling.
Well, Jeremy, for this week, thanks again to our sponsor, Relay. We are stoked to have them. But until next week, sir, hopefully we get another review in, less hate mail. I don't know. Actually, even if we got hate mail, I think we'd rate it on the air. But just to prove it more than your and my mom is listening. But until then, sir, best of luck and enjoy your Pi Day.
All right, you too. Thank you.